Alright, what's up everybody? It's Cross Collects Comics and I'm back with another top 10 list. This time I'm going to be talking about the top 10 Firestorm comics that you should consider adding to your collection. So stay tuned. Alright, so here we are and we're talking about Firestorm tonight. So as of the recording of this video, James Gunn continues to make waves throughout the DC cinematic universe. It's going to be known as just DC Films, and we're excited about what he's bringing to the forefront. Recently, I put out a video that focused on the top 12 picks from me for DC comic characters to keep an eye on, and one of them was Firestorm. So I wanted to go ahead and go a little bit more in depth into this character because he is a favorite of mine. I've loved the character design for a long time. I am an original Firestorm fan, the Ronnie Raymond, Martin Stein version. But yeah, I'm excited about this, about where DC is going, and I'm hoping that Firestorm might be part of the plans. You know, if he's not, it is what it is, but I'm really excited about the character. And I thought I would share it because it's a really fun character, and all the books that I'm going to share here are very inexpensively priced. So if you're looking for a cool DC Comics character from the Copper to Bronze Age to start getting into, this might be the one. So let's get started. The top 10, my top 10 picks for the Firestorm comics to consider adding to your collection. So number 10 on my list is Firestorm the Nuclear Man number 2 from Volume 1. So this is the second appearance of the first Firestorm. Okay, there's been 5 of them, but this is the second appearance of the Firestorm number 1, which was made up of Ronnie Raymond and Martin Stein. Alright, so just a little bit of backstory on Firestorm. He is a character who has the power of essentially the sun. And it's all nuclear based. It was a nuclear accident that fused 2 people together and gave him the superpowers. It was Dr. Martin Stein and then Ronnie Raymond, who was just a young, regular guy. And so it was a really neat, interesting character because he's very powerful, but he's never quite fully been exploited, I don't think, to really show us just what all he can do. But he essentially is a flying nuclear reactor. And so there's a lot of cool stuff that can be done with the character. We saw a lot happen through the comics. I think he's up there with Green Lantern and the Flash in terms of just power levels and possibilities. He just hasn't quite been as popular, and so a lot of his books are very, very affordably priced, as you'll see from this list. But going back to Firestorm the Nuclear Man number 2, Volume 1, this is the second appearance for the original Firestorm, and you know, a lot of times we see second appearances start to gain traction once the first appearance gets priced out. Well, the beautiful thing about this is that I'm setting the target collector's price for this book as $8 for a high-grade raw copy. $8 would be the upper max that I would pay for this book in very, very, very clean condition, like near mint plus condition, like a 9.6 or a 9.8. No spine ticks, no damage to the book, really nice centering. You want a perfect copy in the target, so that's why I'm setting the target collector's price at just $8 for this one. Number 9 on my list for the top 10 Firestorm comics that you should consider adding to your collection is Firestorm the Nuclear Man number 65. So this is the first appearance of the second Firestorm, who is made up of Raymond Stein and Arkadin. I think that's how you pronounce the name. But you know, to be honest, I had no idea there were 5 different Firestorms prior to the researching of this video. I mean, he's had more incarnations than Ghost Rider. So prior to doing all this research, I'd really only been aware of the Ronnie Raymond version and then the Jason Rush version, who we're going to get to a little bit later. We've seen both of them portrayed quite well on DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and you know, really cool character. They did some fun stuff with the character, but again, you know, they're working with a television budget, and as I've stated before in my top 12 DC Comics characters video, you really need a feature film budget for these characters that have these really amped up powers like Green Lantern, Firestorm, and the Flash. You need that feature film budget to really show a lot of what they can do and the possibilities around those characters. So, you know, this isn't, I wasn't as aware of the history of Firestorm as before this video. So I think this is still solid information, and these might still be good books to pick up even if we don't ever see anything happen with them. It's part of the history of the character, having all these different iterations. I've started snagging them now whenever I come across them. So I'm setting the target collector's price for this book at between $3 and $5 for a near mint raw copy. And again, nobody's digging through back issue bins looking for these books right now. So it's a great time to pick them up because they are very inexpensive. I did just pick up my own copy of this book for I think exactly $3 for a high grade raw copy. So they are worth picking up because I think the different iterations, if you get all those keys, then the rest of, if you decide to build the rest of the run, it's fairly easy at that point because it's almost all filler. Number 8 on my list is Justice League of America number 179, and this is Firestorm Joins the Justice League. So the target collector's price that I'm setting for this one is $5 for a raw copy in high grade, and I just think it's a really cool thing to pick up when some of these characters join the premier DC super team. And it's got such a cool cover with Firestorm being introduced and Superman introducing him. This is the first volume of Justice League, and again, this is, as I've shared in previous videos and live streams, this is really my era of the Justice League of America. I love this era. I think it's just had the most aesthetically cool team. It had the biggest lineup of superpowers, and just a fun time to be a Justice League fan because they had so many cool characters on the roster. So number 7 on my list of the top 10 Firestorm comics to add to your collection is Firestorm the Nuclear Man number 100 from Volume 2. So this is cataloged as the first appearance of Firestorm number 4, which was just Martin Stein by himself. I'm setting a target collector's price at $4 for a raw copy in high grade. Again, this is another one of those books that is almost just a filler for the character, but in the history of the character, to have this be one of the iterations and definitely a very different design to the character, or a little bit more of a different design. This is one that, I put on the list because, again, it's the history of the character. Number 6 on my list is Firestorm the Nuclear Man number 1 from Volume 2. So this is the first issue of the second volume of Firestorm solo series. Most of the keys that a lot of the keys I've included on this come actually from Volume 2 as opposed to Volume 1, because Volume 1 did have a short run, and Volume 2 actually had quite a, went all the way to 100 issues. So the target collector price that I'm setting for this book, for a raw copy of this book, would be $15 in near mint condition, and I feel like that's on the high side, but sometimes these books can be a little bit higher than we expect, so I just wanted to put it at 15 because I think that's more than a fair price for a near mint condition copy of the book. Number 5 on my list is Firestorm the Nuclear Man number 85, also from Volume 2. So this is the first appearance of Firestorm 3, which was made up of Raymond, Ronnie Raymond, Arkadin, and I always get this name wrong, Svarovich. So this, obviously, as you can see, there's a completely different design for the Firestorm character. Probably made up, as a result of the makeup of the character. I just think this is an absolutely terrible design for the character, but it's a key book in the history of the character, and it's worth picking up. And that's the thing with some of these lesser known books. I'll get to the number 1 book on the list in a moment, and I'll give a little bit more detail, but that's definitely the first book to pick up. The rest of these are more books that you can keep an eye out for. But again, nobody is out there digging through the back issue bins looking for Firestorm the Nuclear Man number 85, the first appearance of Firestorm number 3. And yeah, it was a different design, crazy looking design. I don't think it was that great, but it's worth picking up. Again, the history of the character. Target collector's price for that one, I'm setting at $5 for a raw copy in near mint condition. So very, very good condition for that one. You want. Number 4 on my list is Identity Crisis number 5. So this is the death of the Ronnie Raymond version of Firestorm. I know that Identity Crisis is a very controversial series for multiple reasons. I am a huge fan of that series. I think it is up there in the top 3 Crisis series that have ever been done by DC, because I think it outshines most of the big mega crossovers. And the thing I loved the most about it was that the heroes couldn't just beat up the bad guy. The heroes got hit where they hurt, where it really hurt them. It had long-standing, long-lasting effects on the DC universe as a whole, and it was just a gut punch to read. And I loved it, and I thought Brad Meltzer and Rags Morales did a fantastic job with it, regardless of what anybody else says. I won't get into some of the critics and what they've said about the series, but I loved it, and I think it's fantastic. I think it's well worth reading, even though there's some really heavy stuff. It's not an all ages miniseries, and a lot of people didn't like the treatment of some of the characters in the story. That being said, I thought it was very, very well done. So, buried in that series, Identity Crisis, was the death of the Ronnie Raymond Firestorm. It's very quick. It happens very fast, as as a death like that would happen in the midst of a battle. And the way the character handles himself in it, realizing what's going to happen to him, I don't want to give too much away, but when he realizes what's going to happen to him, he immediately snaps into, tell my dad I love him, but he's already on the move because he knows what he's got to do. And I just love that. I think it is a huge moment in the life of the Firestorm legacy and character. We'll probably never see it play out on screen, because it just, in the midst of all the deep DC tapestry, there's so many other stories to choose from. But I think it's great. I recommend picking up the entire Identity Crisis miniseries. You can still find them for very inexpensively. But if you're looking for just this one, I set the Target collector's price for Identity Crisis number 5 at $7 for a high-grade raw copy. And I feel like that's a generous amount. It was a massively printed book. You can also get the collected edition, which I also have done. But if you just want to have a Firestorm collection and just this book in the Firestorm collection, this is where it happens. And it really is cool because it loops back into the creation of the Jason Rush version of the character. So number 3 on my list of the top 10 Firestorm comics to add to your collection is Firestorm the Nuclear Man number 22 from volume 2. This was the longer ongoing series. This is the origin of the Ronnie Raymond Firestorm. Well worth picking up. I think origin books are always fun. I love them. I love series like Secret Files and Origins, and then just Secret Origins, which was its own series. It's always fun to see if the character's origin isn't in their first issue or first appearance, then it's always cool to go back and read that and learn about the history of our favorite characters. And so in issue number 22, we're shown this bright light into the backstory of Firestorm. I'm setting the Target collector's price for this, again, like many of the others, at $5 in near mint condition. It is not a terribly difficult book to find. There's plenty of copies of all these books on eBay. I just don't want you to overpay on these books. You know, as you're trying to add them to your collection, I want you to get a good deal on them, and that's why I started adding these Target collector's prices for them. You know, if you can get them for these prices, this is a good. I feel like it's a good, fair price for you and the dealer. Number 2 on my list is Firestorm the Nuclear Man #1 from Volume 3. This is the first appearance and origin of Firestorm #5, the Jason Rush iteration, and he is the one that we saw get more screen time in DC's Legends of Tomorrow and the Flash series, because the Firestorm character did carry over into Legends of Tomorrow. And you know, I thought the way they tied the two together, from Identity Crisis #5 to Firestorm #1, it's great continuation over. It's seamless, and it's a really cool way to introduce a character and to carry him out after being in a big event series. You know, we saw a lot of similarities in the way they did it with the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle in Infinite Crisis, which is another one of my favorites of the top 3 Crisis series from DC. So number 1 on my list, I'll talk just for a couple extra minutes on this one, is Firestorm the Nuclear Man #1 from Volume 1. Of course, this is it. It's the first appearance of the first Firestorm. So this book has been a favorite of mine for a while. I did get a chance to have Al Milgrom sign a copy, and it is a CGC signature series slab that I have for it. I need to get it pressed and try to get the rest of the guys to sign it that worked on it. But this is such a cool book to have, because it's he's an iconic character with a really cool design, and I can't wait. Hopefully he'll get adapted into film, and they'll do more with the character, give more of a budget, and show more of his history. But this is such an affordably priced key. It's like Booster Gold #1. There's so much wrapped up into that character's first appearance, because it's also their first solo series issue, and it's also their first cover appearance. So, and the price range is really good right now. I set the Target collector's price at $40 to $50 for a raw copy in high grade. This particular book is plentiful in low and mid grade. So this is the thing I want you to be aware of. You know, you're going to be asked to pay $20 to $30 for a low to mid grade copy. They're everywhere on eBay. However, I would suggest, this is a situation where I would suggest saving your money and going for a very high grade raw copy. You know, generally I don't go for slabbed copies for personal collection books. You know, but in raw high grade, I think it's worth the extra money to you know, to get that really nice crisp copy, because they're so plentiful. If you just want a copy in your collection, you can definitely find them for between $20 and $30. They're everywhere. You know, just get the best deal on shipping and get the best deal on the book that you can. But you know, if you have the chance to spend an extra $20 to $30, if you can save up a little bit longer and get your budget up to $40 to $50, you can find a really nice copy for that. And that's what I suggest doing for this one, because again, fun character, very low priced key, and I think, yeah, there's so many possibilities with him. So hey, I hope that you've enjoyed hanging out with me tonight and us talking about Firestorm and my picks for the top 10 Firestorm comics to add to your collection. I hope that you've been enjoying everything here on the channel. If you have, make sure and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We've got well over 1,000 subscribers and continuing to grow, and lots of cool things happening here on the channel. Also, make sure to like this video and drop a comment below. Are there any books that you think I missed for Firestorm? Is there anything I should have added to the list that you didn't, that you thought I missed? Make sure and do that. I still try to respond to every single comment that comes through on every single video, just to honor the time that you put into it. Also, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. If you are subscribed and you like the video and you left a comment, then why not go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time a new video or live stream goes live here on the channel. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I'm Carl's Collects Comics. This is my channel, and I've enjoyed sharing this fun character with you and my picks for the top 10 Firestorm comics to add to your collection. Have a great night.